Hey, I'd like to introduce you to yourself. This is the Seeking SELFDOM Going Deeper podcast, and I'm your host, Akello Stone.
Everyone has dreams, things they would love to achieve, but sometimes they seem so grandiose and out of reach. By calling them dreams, does it perpetuate the mindset that they're unattainable?
Whenever I hear the word dreams, well, first I think about dreams at night, the way that the subconscious mind begins to dissect everything that we've experienced and thought about that day, organize it, create some type of, for many people, visuals. I can't remember the last time I had a dream at night. I don't have them as much as I used to, and when I do remember them, and they're not usually as long and drawn out and vivid as some people have. They're really quick, kind of like a commercial. But when I think of the word dreams versus the word goals, goals to me feels more grounded in reality, where dreams could be something that maybe is unattainable. I don't think you should ever stop someone from having a dream. I think that dream crushing is terrible. But also you have to go into this dream knowing the great possibility that it will never be obtainable, because there are certain aspects of achieving that dream that are out of our control. I mean, we can only do so much. And there are some people who continue to spin that wheel going towards it, and I really find those people inspirational. The other thing is, when you have dreams or goals, I think it's a good practice to have many, to have more than one, and then not be attached to it. Because part of the idea of attaining a dream or a goal is the process of attaining a dream or a goal, whether or not it's reached. Everything that you have to do to get there. It's still preparing you for something. It's evolving you. It's helping you grow and develop over time. So I have never been a dreamer. I do not have dreams, for example. I may have aspirations. I've had aspirations for at least 13, 14 years to be an on-camera host. But I also know I have to balance real life with my dream. And sometimes things that would propel me towards that dream will have to take a back seat. But it's not something that, if I don't achieve it, I will feel unsuccessful or unfulfilled. I think the idea of working towards something and then smelling all the flowers along the way, and the people that you meet and the things that you do along the way of that dream is really part of the dream. You know, that's the trick, is to really look at everything that happens along that path. So keep your dreams alive. Have many dreams. Work towards those dreams. Break those up into small pieces of how to get there. Ask for help. Tell people about your dream. Practice. Work at it. Do what you need to do. And again, if you never get there, damn it, at least you tried. And I think trying is a wonderful thing.
You said getting to know ourselves is a balance between who we think we are, who others think we are, and what we think others think of us. We'll never know what others really think of us, so why is that an important part of the equation?
I think this idea that we have this idea or perception about how other people think about us is really incredibly interesting to me, because there are people that will really let us know who we are, but then there's other people that will protect us from getting to know who we are if certain aspects of ourselves seem undesirable, at least to that person. Unattainable goal, for example. Having a perception of someone who is trying to pursue a goal or a dream, whether or not they can do that. I find it really interesting. I used to watch American Idol before it just became something different. But it was, to me, this idea that there are many, 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 many people with incredible talents, And many people want to share that talent with the world and build a life and a career out of that talent. But then there would always be those reels where there would be people that would go in there and their parents, family supported them and said they can sing really well, and they go in there and they just can't do it. Now, I don't know how much is fabricated for TV, but in my mind, it's giving us this idea that sometimes people protect us from knowing and from realizing what we cannot do. But in terms of like perceptions, if we ask somebody to let us know how they see us, I think the answer is going to depend on what the relationship is with them, who they are, how they see themselves, what their mood is like that day, the way that you ask the question. Is there time to really get into it? This is not a question where, boom, 30 seconds, I'll tell you about yourself. A lot of times people don't want to tell people about the qualities that are not so great. We want to tell people, we want to pump people up, which I think is a good thing. But I also think that one of the important aspects of intimate relationships is being honest with people. But not just being honest with them, but if there's some peculiarity in the way they go through life that needs to be addressed, I think it's good to address that in a way that is supportive, but also encourage them with some ideas of what they can do to change that. But then if someone had perceived me a certain way and they told me about it, whether or not I agree with it is going to determine whether or not I take any action to remedy the situation. I may not agree with them, either the good or the bad. So there's also that kind of negotiation that happens. So it's a complicated thing, and no, we'll never really know how people perceive us. And if you've ever put yourself out there on the internet and maybe a video or a blog or something, and you got some really negative feedback, and then you got some positive feedback, which is the reality, which is the truth? And I would say it's all the truth. It's all the truth. The truth is based on people's perceptions and how they see reality, which may be different from the way that you see it, or you may not even think about the nature of reality, the nature of perceptions. When people say, I don't care what people think, I don't always agree with that. I think that you should care about what people think, because there could be some truth in it, right? But I think what we should say is, if people are trying to bring me down with their rhetoric, I refuse to accept that if I don't believe it. That's really what I think when people say I don't care what people think. I think that's what they really mean. Because there's a lot of things in life that you kind of have to care about what people think. If you want to be employed, for example, and have opportunities open up, there has to be this, desire to present yourself in the best way possible. Even though we'll never really know if we have reached the best that we can give, unless we truly believe it and push ourselves towards that.
I find brain fatigue can make it next to impossible to do something new or change course. How can we prevent the hundreds of daily micro decisions we perform from affecting our ability to fulfill our dreams?
Life moves really fast. Let's start with that. And we fill it with lots and lots of things. We probably fill it with far too many people that we're trying to maintain relationships. We may have far too many activities. I mean, let's be honest. Me personally, I don't have someone coming in and cleaning my house, making my bed, cooking my food, doing my dishes, taking out the laundry, doing the yard work, the landscaping. I don't have anybody doing that. I have to do all that. That is a level of responsibility as a homeowner that I have taken on. Does that take away from the action that I want to take to move forward towards my goals or dreams? I would say absolutely. And sometimes I think to myself, if I didn't have to do X, Y, and Z, and someone else did that for me, think of all the hours of each day I would have then to devote to what I'm moving towards. So because we cannot relinquish our responsibility for things that we have to get done, what we can do, at least for me, is try to create some automation in some things. Electronic bill pay changed the game. I mean, there was a time when I used to sit down with the checkbook, write the bills out, get the stamps, mail them out, keep track in the checking a book ledger. So now I pay bills online. It's just like click, 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 and it's paid, and some are automatically paid. The amount of time and effort that used to take has been minimized, so now I have more time to do the things that I'm really passionate about. So minimizing those mundane tasks that most of us have to do. The second kind of strategy I think would be helpful is, what can you do simultaneously? So if you're doing laundry, if you're going to the laundromat, I mean, this is something I did for decades, having to go to the laundromat. I would make sure while the clothes were washing that I would do something, read a book, write something. I'm always writing things down. I have a lot of notepads while I'm waiting for the laundry to get done, which has to be done. So then when I'm doing the laundry, then I put it in the dryer. That gives me another 20, 30 minutes to devote. So you can do things simultaneously. I was fortunate enough, in a way it doesn't sound fortunate, but I was fortunate enough when I was in graduate school, I took public transportation as well as undergrad. For many years I took public transportation, but particularly in graduate school, I worked very far away from the city. I took 2 buses and a train, probably 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours of travel, commute time on each end. And I would go right to class after work. That's when I would do my reading, highlighting, taking notes. So instead of sitting there in the public transit, in the bus, just daydreaming, I used that time constructively. So find ways to capitalize on 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. You'd be surprised about what you could get done, as opposed to feeling you have to have this 90-minute block of time to get something done. And we also have to listen to inspiration when that hits. And we don't know when that's going to hit. And when it does, ride the wave as much as you can. Be as productive as possible when you're in that mindset. And right now, during this pandemic, I'm very strict about not going places, not interacting with people, because I know the importance of individual action eventually affects thousands, if not millions of people, especially in this particular context. So what better time to really capitalize on some of those pockets of time that we used to have, commuting and having lunch with people and going to social events, which we all probably love and miss. I do. But capitalize on that time right now while you can, and see if it can move you towards what you wish to accomplish. Thank you so much for listening to Seeking Selfdom, Going Deeper. I'm your host, Akello Stone. Check out the entire 13 episodes. I'd love to hear some feedback. Peace.